The most amount of money we've ever made in our life. You know, we felt like we were P. Diddy, we're making it rain.
Asking customers, like, hey, would you like to sample our loaded mashed potatoes? It shouldn't be a question, you should be.
Dude, you don't know what protein does?
She certainly doesn't seem to like people very much. We are in the people business. There's just...
As Aaron is telling me that he's taking delivery.
Yeah, now this is a good car. I have almost 200,000 miles on this car.
That's great, you got that.
You kind of look like Omar Sullivan.
You got me.
Number 8, Boston Market. This guy unknowingly ranted about his hate of consumers to a female coworker on Undercover Boss without realizing that she's actually a Boston Market executive working undercover for the show. At the company's outlet in Duluth, Georgia, a young-looking employee by the name of Ronnie declared that he detested restaurant patrons and referred to them as greedy and demanding. The man was fired by the undercover executive after he became enraged, marking the first time anyone has ever been fired from the CBS reality series.
I'm Ronnie.
Hi, Rachel. Nice
To meet you. So we're going to be working together today, yeah?
Yes.
On your competition. Welcome to Boston Market, you know, blah, 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 whatever. Because we have to make customers, you know, on a pedestal. I mean, it's okay. I'm like the Kim Kardashian of Boston Market. It's great. So I start asking customers, like, hey, would you like to sample our loaded mashed potatoes? It shouldn't be a question. You should be like that at all times. Otherwise, we get in trouble because Boston Market, again, ridiculous standards.
In the episode, Boston Market's chief brand officer, Sarah Betorf, was dispatched on a reconnaissance mission by the CEO of the business to appear on the CBS program and learn the truth. In order to obtain the opportunity to operate her own diner, Ms. Betorf pretended to be a waitress named Rachel Rand who had recently joined the Boston Market staff. But when she arrived as a trainee at a Boston Market in Duluth, Georgia, she had no idea what lay in store for her. She received training and picked up the trade skills, but she was horrified to see that her shift manager, Ronnie, spent a lot of time complaining about the customers. In the reality show's unscripted moment, Ronnie, a kitchen assistant, expressed a strong disdain for customers, believing that he despised them more than anything else in the world. Unaware that his remarks were being recorded, he vented his frustration to Betorf, who secretly held a high-ranking position within the company. Ronnie complained about customers being demanding and feeling exhausted from having to cater to their needs throughout the day. Betorf was deeply angered by Ronnie's comments and had to take a moment to compose herself outside the kitchen. Realizing that such behavior could jeopardize her job and the reputation of the brand she represented, she confronted Ronnie about his attitude. Revealing her true identity, she sternly reprimanded him for his actions and sent him home for the day, warning him of the potential consequences of his future at the company. Despite learning that the kitchen assistant he was speaking to held a significant position in the business, Ronnie showed no remorse for his earlier remarks. In private, he mentioned that he might pretend to change his attitude, but he didn't see it as a big issue since the customers were unaware of his feelings. However, he felt that the situation was unfair now that Betorf, a prominent figure at Boston Market, was aware of his true feelings. As Ronnie drove home for the day, he contemplated the situation, believing that it was acceptable for him to harbor such strong dislike for people, even though he recognized the significance of customers to the business's success. Number 7, retro fitness. Anyone can have a bad day at work, but would you relentlessly belittle customers because of it? And if you did, what would you expect to happen if the boss heard about it? Jacqueline, a front desk manager at a retro fitness gym, had the misfortune to find out on an episode of the CBS series Undercover Boss. At a retro fitness gym in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, Jacqueline, an employee, displayed a continuous stream of hostility towards Eric Casaburi, the founder and CEO of the gym chain, while he was being trained by her to understand her job. Jacqueline, who mistakenly believed Casaburi was Barry, a candidate trying for a gym manager's position on a Second Chances reality show. She expressed her discontent by stating, "I am not a slave," along with a series of derogatory remarks. Based out of New Jersey, Retro Fitness is widely known throughout the Northeast for its low-cost membership rate of $19.99 a month. It already has 300,000 members and brings in $100 million a year in annual revenue. It's also been recognized by Entrepreneur magazine as one of the top fastest growing franchises. With 90 current ones, the company will soon hit double digits according to Casaburi. But he also expects his employees to be up to mark with their services and especially their attitude, but that didn't go well with Jacqueline. During the training, Jacqueline defended her habit of playing on her iPhone instead of assisting Retro Fitness customers, claiming that the members were unintelligent.
Right, the gym?
Yes.
Okay, so that's even more important. Like me, I'm just a front desk. So
Right.
I just,
You use that while you work?
yep.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's slow. What else am I? People love to interrupt here. People love to be obnoxious. I'm not a...
Nice smile, and you think, hey, all is right in the world. And then she opens her mouth, and she's like, you know, the bats from hell start flying.
Dude, you don't know what protein does?
She certainly doesn't seem to like people very much. We are in the people business. There's just,
Peanut butter and chocolate. Now, we're not supposed to put more than what it says on the menu.
and it says on the menu, we really care about.
So you would go 1, 6, go.
Okay.
That makes a disgusting shake, honestly.
Okay.
So just do it because you're taking way too long. It has to be fast paced. I want you to stop talking. Seriously.
She even went as far as saying, with some people, I just want to punch them in the face sometimes. As a result of Jacqueline's inappropriate behavior, Casaburi decided to bring Bob, the franchise owner of the Fairlawn Retro Fitness, onto the show to address the situation. Bob had no choice but to make a reasonable decision, expressing his disappointment and informing Jacqueline that they had to part ways. He firmly stated, I can't have you behind the counter like this. Jacqueline attempted to justify her actions by acknowledging her use of profanity, but seemed unremorseful as she continued to express her frustration by uttering another expletive, saying, like, I can't even deal.
You know the way.
No, because you know me, Bob.
Using language behind the behind the desk.
And do you ever see that? Obviously, I wouldn't
Well,
have done that. I wouldn't
that
have acted
makes
that
it-
way.
That makes it worse. That you didn't know it was him. Obviously, you wouldn't do it, but
Without, like, the CEO of the company right in front of my face staring at me. Yes, Eric.
You were my biggest fear of going undercover.
Why?
The first thing,
Completely wrong about that.
told me about you as an employee. I don't know you as a
You
person.
don't know me as exactly.
I don't want to know
me
you as a person.
Oh,
I
okay.
want right in front of them.
How did I treat some of members? Your payment's overdue.
I know, I'm gonna pay tomorrow.
No, no, don't, like, seriously, I don't.
There's no answer you could possibly say right now. None.
Okay.
Our time.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it makes no sense that you would treat someone that way. None. Is how you were speaking about the members.
Members, they're literally stupid. They don't know anything.
Number 6, Donato's Pizza. Donato's was founded 50 years ago by Jane's father, Jim Grody, with one philosophy in mind: to make the best pizza and to treat others the way I would like to be treated. Headquartered in Columbus, Ohio, Donato's Pizza operates more than 180 restaurants in 6 states with an annual revenue of $170 million. The company was sold to McDonald's in 1999, but was bought back by Jane and her father in 2003 when they realized that McDonald's was going to sell the pizza chain. Jane firmly believes in the family values that her father founded over 50 years ago, and she wants to head out to the front lines to make sure that their values are upheld. As a delivery driver, you're representing the brand on the road and are expected to uphold the law and the company rules. Customers expect them to deliver premium service along with a premium pizza. Jane will be working with Aaron, a go-getter who thinks he's the best of the best when it comes to delivering pizzas. But what will this boss do when she's faced with the harsh reality of how this delivery boy is accepting tips? A delivery driver is an essential role to the pizza business. They're basically the face of the company. They're delivering the product to customers' homes where they need to be respectful and courteous.
A little bit, and if I'm not very busy and I don't need to be super focused really, then I'll kind of indulge.
You do not. You're in your car and you drive, and you can't do that.
Well, it's not like I sit there and smoke for like 20 minutes.
I can't think of another time I've been this disappointed. When you see so much hope in as Aaron is telling me that he's taken delivery, it's illegal, and it's just not okay.
Are you against that?
I am really against it.
I'm sorry. I don't...
Maybe it's not a big deal in his world, but he put a lot of people at risk.
The drivers need to be cautious while operating a vehicle as they're representing the Donatos brand out on the road. Aaron feels he's the best of the best when it comes to delivery service and knows that a happy customer equals a better tip. He also has no qualms about taking tips in any form. Workers, who are also human beings, have a need at some point during the day to relax and let their guard down. It goes without saying that there are an infinite number of ways to blow off steam in 2013, and in the United States, resorting to marijuana is becoming an increasingly accepted alternative. In fact, 2013 was the year when marijuana was fully legalized in the states of Colorado and Washington. Having a cigarette, on the other hand, as shown in the video that can be found above, Aaron was under the impression that he was discussing his past time with a woman whose name was Kathy Cooper. Isn't it an option that's as alarming as drinking a cup of coffee? In the most recent episode of Undercover Boss, Aaron, a delivery driver for Donatos Pizza, found out the hard way how true the statement is. As shown in the video that can be found above, Aaron was under the impression that he was discussing his past time with a woman whose name was Kathy Cooper. According to her story, she was following him as part of her participation in a reality show about second chances in the hopes of one day owning her own eatery. Unfortunately, that didn't turn out to be the case. Jane Grody-Abel, who's the owner of Donatos Pizza and the chairman of the board of directors, was in fact following him about. But after confronting Aaron, Jane gives him a second chance to work after taking a drug test because he was the best when it came to handling his work, and she didn't want to lose a good employee like him.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
So, Aaron, when you told me you smoked,
And while I was working at Donato's, and that
you said you did it while you were at Donato's working.
a lot of people smoke pot. You're upset with me?
I'm very upset. I can't believe to do something that's illegal.
I apologize for that.
Well, you know, I do like you. You do a lot of the right things.
Yeah.
You're fast on your feet. Take a drug test in 30 days.
Okay.
You can come back and work in the kitchen.
Wow.
Number 5. Hooters. Hooters restaurant, known for their wings, beer, and scantily clad servers, sent their president and CEO Kobe Brooks to go undercover and learn about the operations of the billion-dollar business from the ground level. Brooks inherited the leadership of the company from his father, Robert Brooks, who was responsible for taking this restaurant concept from Florida and scaling it to a worldwide phenomenon. Kobe didn't have working for Hooters in his career plans until his brother tragically passed away in a crash aboard one of the corporate planes. The Hooters name is not only our biggest strength, but also our biggest weakness. Brooks shares that the Hooters brand is currently battling brand issues. While the company is trying to position itself as a family establishment, many voices in the public are unhappy with its exploitation of scantily clad women. But that's not the only issue. At the time of filming, the United States was facing a tough economic marketplace, and sales were down across the board at Hooters restaurants. Brooks plans to go undercover to gain some insight to see what he can do to keep the company afloat. Kobe Brooks, the president and CEO of Hooters, learned some important lessons via covert mingling with his rank and file. Of particular interest was his confrontation with D-back Hooters manager Jimbo, which was heavily teased in the show's promos. Jimbo makes his Hooters girls perform demeaning acts to go home early as Brooks looks on in shock. Where did this guy ever get the idea he could treat women that way?
Lee, you with me? He's running the show. I'll probably be back in the kitchen, helping out. Okay, who's your man in Amsterdam?
Yes.
She looks like a Hollywood starlet.
Yes.
Right? Okay, that's what we're looking for. All right, Bethany, have us ands or buts about it.
So what am I supposed to do about school if I have to leave?
You're gonna play my reindeer games.
One thing Jimbo does understand, as Brooks points out, is the Hooters brand. He has the girls line up for inspection and sneers at their nails, quipping to one girl to get another tattoo. Brooks is only a bit fazed by Jimbo's execution, but then came the reindeer games. Jimbo can't even think of a decent Ben Affleck movie to reference. He forces the girls to eat plates of beans without using their hands to cries of no and this isn't right. He explains to Brooks with accompanying pantomime that he wants to shove their faces down in the beans because the girls are prima donnas. He explains to Brooks with accompanying pantomime that he wants to shove their faces down in the beans because the girls are prima donnas. Brooks, to his credit, really wants to do something, but he doesn't want to break cover. Really? Who does he think he is? Jack Bauer? Is the whole OP gonna go south if he compromises himself? But the best part is at the end when Brooks does the big reveal and tells Jimbo that he might not be comfortable having his daughter's tits stared at on Jimbo's watch. Awesomely, Jimbo pushes back by touting his record of sales before finally submitting. The episode wraps up with Brooks announcing that he's going to combat the company's demeaning image with a PR campaign that will explain to people that Hooters girls aren't just Hooters girls, they're people. Look, it's a free country and this is all apparently legal, but when your entire business model depends on your employees' welcoming physical advances in writing, you kinda give up the right to be shocked that your manager is an animal. The manager in question resigned from his duties as an employee of Hooters and is left to pursue other options outside the Hooters system. Texas Wings is the largest franchisee of Hooters of America and successfully operates 42 Hooters throughout Texas. Hooters of America is confident that the Texas stores are among the best managed and most successful in the Hooters system. Hooters has a long-standing and highly effective policy protecting employees from all harassment. Hooters of America and Texas Wings are confident the incident portrayed on Undercover Boss is in no way representative of conduct within the Hooters system, which employs over 25,000 people at 460 restaurants in 42 states and 27 countries.
Prima donnas. Okay. That's just stereotyping your whole cast of girls to your staff is necessary in this situation. You do that for me. Man, it works. Shame on me if it's a bad thing of being uber competitive. That's not what I want. It's all about being respectful. That's the bottom line. Working in Hooters. Right. But to be honest with you, I would have a tough time letting my girls work for you. And I took a step back and, okay, I get it.
Number 4, Buffalo Wings and Rings. Buffalo Wings and Rings CEO Nader Mossadegh faced bullying at 2 of his franchise locations during his role as the lead character. Mossadegh fought for the franchise's owner to fire the kitchen manager who worked at a BWR location in Bardstown, Kentucky outside Louisville. Mossadegh confronted the manager, who gave him the nickname Charmin because he's soft, and later complained about the treatment of employees, including a failure to accept doctors' excuses for being unable to work. Mossadegh set up a scholarship fund for Amber, a worker who was unable to work due to poor treatment, and gave Amber a new car. The show began with a sequence at a Cincinnati area store where Mossadegh was trained to be a dishwasher. He went with Dave, who also serves as the store's marketing ambassador, to take Mossadegh to a cornhole tournament dressed up in a Chef Buffalo costume. Mossadegh revealed himself as the CEO and set aside $20,000 for a retirement account for the worker. Mossadegh was described in a CBS News release as the Sauce King of Cincinnati. He agreed to go undercover to guarantee that his Buffalo Wings and Rings restaurants each had the recipe for success. The Union Township-based Buffalo Wings and Rings franchising company has 66 stores, including 7 locations in the Cincinnati region, with an 8th scheduled to open soon in the Anderson Township. Mossadegh supervised a new design for the company stores, featuring a sleeker design and family-friendly atmosphere.
The 5-pound? Yeah. Do you want to do the lunch combo? Yeah. And for you, sir?
I'm gonna have
off with something to drink?
I'll have a Diet Coke.
Diet Coke? All right. And for you now?
Generally speaking, people have order has to be taken.
Cheeseburger. All right. Do you want French fries, wedges?
Feed them, cash or checks.
Car?
Yeah. Now this is a good car. I have almost 200,000 miles on this car.
That's great. You got the
Wings. If I had any hair, I would be pulling it right now. It's a family restaurant, not a sports bar.
You have a 9-table section. You have to be able to deal with pressure. which I've been known to. Well, I mean, we'll have to finish ringing this in first. Hopefully, maybe somebody else will be nice enough to run it for us, but if not, we'll get to something to upset him, or if you had to call in sick one day, he will literally take your shifts.
He aimed to create a new experience for consumers who want the sports experience but don't want it in a sports bar. One of the reasons BWR serves its food in China is to differentiate itself from rival Buffalo Wild Wings, which is more of a sports bar and uses paper and plasticware for food service. When his family moved from Jordan to Anderson Township, has a bachelor's degree from the University of Cincinnati and an MBA from Xavier University. He describes himself as married to Buffalo Wings and Rings and lives with his father Paul, who drives a red 1984 Ferrari in honor of the year his father opened his first store. Leadership is arguably the most popular buzzword in business. Almost every executive and business owner wants to be called a leader, to be thought of as a leader, and sometimes the exaggerations used to claim the name get to be laughable. Wes, the president and CEO of Buffalo Wild Wings, is irritated by Moss's slow pace and the lack of guidance for entry-level workers. Masade, a new employee, is left to attend the long list of orders by himself, leading to customers becoming impatient with the wait times and the servers offering discounts to some tables. Wes is unhappy with the situation and blames the newbie for the poor service.
Okay. So basically, I am the kitchen manager back here. You're gonna need a really strong fire.
Yeah.
Do what you could never do on prom night. Tap it twice. I got a feeling you've probably been a guy's boneless. You got 15 bone-in wings, and they're right here. You grab 15 bone-in wings, drop them in here, in the flour, get them nice and breaded. Already dropped your basket. Shake them off, lay them in.
On the floor?
Oh, yeah.
Sex on the floor, in the kitchen.
My floor, I would totally have sex on my...
Wes's behavior towards T, a foreign employee, is inappropriate, rude, and vulgar. Masadi asks if Wes behaves like this every day, and they respond that he's a bully. Wes's behavior makes everyone feel uncomfortable, and he wants to keep everyone under his control. Masadi later spots Red, one of the franchise owners, and calls her over for a quick chat. She has a bad experience with Wes, and he is unsure if she's real or putting an act on. Before Wes, Amber, a server at a Chicago restaurant, was a nightmare. She was shadowing and comparing her explanations to how they run things at one of his top-performing franchises. Amber was doing great with all the explanations, but she was also comparing the restaurant's sections to another. The CEO is shocked to see the staff's teamwork is extremely poor, lacks coordination, and overall seems lost. Masadi then understands that he has to take action real soon. When it was time for the big reveal, Wes gets to know that Pete is actually his president.
Working with Wes in the kitchen, and is he for real or is he just putting an act on?
No, that's it. He does treat his kitchen staff low, but there's no telling Wes. I just had a mandatory about, one raised their hand, the kitchen. They talk vulgar, they talk this, they talk that. We'll see how far that goes.
No, Red,
it does nothing.
No, not acceptable.
Sean doesn't give me the power to go over Wes.
I need to hear Red battling this challenge for as long as she has been. I imagine just her hands are tied for these kids. They don't feel the way they do.
Yeah, they have to feel respected.
They gotta feel safe. Having experience already, I would fire him tonight. I'm taking the franchise agreement, I'm gonna rip it apart.
Masade, who is not their guidance counselor, is the president of the company and has been undercover for the past week. Wes's actions and the situation with Amber are both alarming and upsetting. He believes that if they parted ways, Wes could still be the manager and continue to bully his staff. The story of Masade and the consequences of his actions can be seen as a reminder of the importance of employee satisfaction and the importance of separating ways in a business. Number 3. College hunks hauling junk. In this episode of Undercover Boss, college hunks and hauling junk and moving owners Nick and Omar face financial challenges after witnessing their worst financial years in decades. Initially, they met during high school and later became close friends. The business expanded over 3,000 moving vans and over 150 franchises over 39 states. Despite the pandemic, the company experienced a rebound and employees were worried about firing. Omar and Nick decided to go undercover to continue expanding their business, underwent changes, and even worked on their backstories.
And jelly, you know, we
Who's
make
peanut butter?
I'm the peanut butter.
I'm
hauling junk.
Yeah. Oh, my muscle's getting a little smaller now. The peanut butter, man.
You know.
You're the jelly.
We're having to make these layoffs of team members who we really cared about and lived our core values. Years than we have in the first 15. If there's issues in the foundation of the business, they're just going to get bigger and bigger.
A barman, I lost my job due to COVID.
I'm going to be Ryan Davenport, who's worked.
They arrived with fictitious names and supporting histories. They each pretended to be beginning fresh with a new job and an involvement in a documentary. On his first day, only Omar made a mistake. He misplaced the tabletop. He rubbed it. He was working with a man who had informed him that they would have to replace it on their own dime and that it had also cost them their tips. The movers place a lot of value on tips. Since it's where they earn the majority of their revenue, Omar's error on his first day would be quite costly to him. Before he attained the position, the man was working with a recently discharged veteran whose family was experiencing homelessness. Therefore, he had to avoid losing his position as a mover. Omar discovered that movers also experience hardship after learning a difficult lesson.
You're out here for too long, you're gonna cost your client more money.
Chris obviously knows what he's doing, the way he approaches. Chris is so fast at rapping, like I'm mind-blowing when I watched him do it.
It's not tight, it's not securing. If you're not sweating yet, you're not moving fast enough. If he wants to be a hunk, he's really gonna have to step it up. From now on, I'm gonna be keeping a real close eye on him.
You guys got me running in circles, slipping, I'm tired, and we haven't even really finished the job yet.
Go ahead and hop in, we're gonna head off to the destination.
All right.
And that's why I stick to my guns with this company.
So what does this job mean to you?
It means stability for my family. I started here right after COVID started. And that's been the tipping point. About 6 months prior, my wife, my kids.
You approach the day, the work, you know, just from the short time I spent with you, like.
When they first started the business, all they did was haul rubbish. They had no maintenance obligations for any of the products, which set them apart from movers. Nick was still moving garbage as they used to. The woman he was working with said that her day actually gets worse going home than it does while she's at work because it carries less risk, or at least it should. She said that her neighborhood is undesirable. Nick eventually learned that her neighborhood has been the scene of shootings. She was a married mother of 2 children. The incident occurred 2 feet from the area where Nick met her kids who were playing nearby. At work, he had dinner with them. His own children were about the same age as the woman's children, so she has already dealt with plenty. The widespread belief that junk carriers should be guys undoubtedly didn't help.
That it's not reusable, you throw it in the trash. Dig in. Get it.
So this isn't part of like the franchise model?
No.
Per se?
So none of the other college hunks do.
Create a sorting process to really sort the items as they're coming back to the shop to help then ensure that items meet you, bud.
What are you coloring, Lacey? Ooh, it's purple, huh? That's my daughter's favorite color. Shooting today?
Yes. A gentleman decided to let out an automatic rifle. Watch your back.
We have a 2x4 that keeps our back door locked, and the front door is actually a steel cage.
Nevertheless, she always arrived to work smiling. Her tail touched Nick. Later, Nick and Omar reunited. They discussed the folks they encountered while also bringing up a fresh circumstance. They sort of went too far in a response one of their franchise managers had sent to an irate Yelp user. The business has a set of guidelines for possible responses. Even when the customer is wrong, they shouldn't be humiliated or persuaded to never use the firm again because the customer is always right.
So, Freddie, tell me a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from New York. God, I lost my job.
Restaurant industry, right? I mean,
yeah, I've done, you know, the bar industry, broken up fights. I took a beer bottle to.
well, I'll tell you what. You look very familiar.
Me?
Yes. You kind of look like Omar Sullivan.
You got me.
Omar was scheduled to start working for Steve as a new hire, but Steve immediately recognized him. Years prior, the two had already met. On his desk, Steve also placed a picture of their first meeting. he couldn't help but notice Omar, who then acknowledged it. He acknowledged taking part in Undercover Boss. He added that he and Nick disapproved of the responses he posted on social media using their brand. Online, Steve was combative. He attempted to play as something from the past, but they discovered one from a month prior. However, they left Steve's franchise intact. They met with his team, and they thought his squad was fantastic, so they decided to let him go on. They worked pretty well. They didn't deserve to suffer the consequences of Steve's own error, which is why they allowed Steve to carry on and provided him with the money he required to grow. Additionally, Omar and Nick devised a no-fault provision which ensured that any things damaged during the move wouldn't be deducted from the tips or left unpaid by customers. The obligation to pay them will be assumed by the corporation. The woman Nick worked with received a check that would help her son get tested for his special needs, while the man Omar worked with received a bonus payment. Jessica also received a trophy that the firm keeps for being the best employee overall. She assisted both of the co-founders in identifying what they needed to improve upon, and they want to make additional adjustments in the future. Number 2, Twin Peaks. Several of the most memorable bosses have chosen to reevaluate their businesses and how well they're performing on this episode of Undercover Boss, although they can't precisely return undercover to do so. As soon as the workers discovered the ruse, the manager sent in workers in the debut episode of Undercover Employees. Since he just had to fire an employee, Menchie CEO Amit Kleinberger wants to take another inside look. He brought Jenny back this time, who was bubbly. She had pleased him when he first met her during a stint on Undercover Boss. That's why he covered her education expenses. Jenny is considering a career in marketing now that she's enrolled in college, and Amit has promised to find her a job. Amit asked Jenny to perform a role in his busy store despite her quiet and reticent nature. Jenny performed well, causing Christina to worry about retraining a new employee. Christina remained professional, maintaining her normal vocal pitch while grinning. Amit was pleased with his team and gifted Christina and her child a college fund. Jenny was treated equally, and she can visit her family more frequently while in school if Amit pays for multiple trips back home. Amit believes in rewarding excellent employees to retain the best ones. While Randy Duet, the co-founder and CEO of Twin Peaks, brought Marissa back to assist him. It appears that Marissa appeared on the show during Randy's earlier run, but she didn't exactly leave an impact. However, she now has a chance to prove herself. Marissa's behavior had altered since she was featured on the show, according to the management, and Randy will be able to judge how much she's improved by having her back.
A little over the line, isn't it?
He says the only thing that any blonde can do correctly is make... No, I think you need to leave. That guy is such a loser.
To deal with these kind of people?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to know how to deal with. And I deal with jerky. Today, there's one, drunk, loser who just decides to don't know where to draw the line. Right. And this one thing, if you're making rude comments to me.
Marissa had to change from being a completely clothed punk rocker named Ramona to flashing her body. When she saw the adorable assistant manager named Jeremy, who was meant to be monitoring her performance, it became much more difficult for her to accomplish this. Randy had to caution Marissa about her natural behavior because it was showing through so much. She did, however, assist in identifying issues that needed to be resolved. The bar ladies were supposed to assist with cleanup, but they didn't. Because it's a new policy and the general manager should have been the one to instruct them, Randy is willing to overlook that. As a result, Jeremy is not to blame. Randy assures Jeremy that he's a great assistant manager and offers to pay for his vacations with his fiancée. Marissa, who has made her father's name known, receives an additional $5,000 on her father's retirement fund. Steve Greenbaum, CEO and co-founder of Postnet, hires an undercover agent but is exposed. He hastily devises a lie to distract Amanda from the scandal. She learns about his desire to understand running his own store before opening one, and Amanda shares that she recently lost her spouse and had fantasized about opening a second store. Steve decided to grant her that wish. He handed Amanda $50,000 to open the shop that she and her husband had envisioned. Additionally, he gifted Belton, an old buddy of his, with a trip and spending money. Even if they committed a few blunders, you still do that for friends.
Oh, hello. How are you, Robert? If that's your real name.
No.
Really?
My real name is Kobe Brook. When a customer crossed the line and a Twin Peaks girl like yourself wanted to get great. I know you're working because you need the money to go to school.
Your biggest tip probably ever. I'm gonna match his 15. I'm gonna give you 15,000 as well.
They believe in me. What they said to me, you know, that just means it's just amazing.
Number 1, Lomans. Telling your supervisor that they're not as good as one of their predecessors is the last thing you want to do. Imagine telling your boss that their current business plan would cause the founder to turn over in her grave. Because Keisha, a supervisor for visual merchandising at a Loman's location in Washington, D.C., spoke those same comments about Frida Loman to Steve Newman, the CEO of her business. As seen in the video, Keisha issued the reprimand in the second episode of the CBS show Undercover Boss's 5th season. Keisha had no way of knowing that she was criticizing the company in front of the CEO, who went by the name of Henry, a budding businessman participating in a reality television program about second chances. In her criticism of the business, Keisha said, "We want to look like Bloomingdale's, we want to look like Macy's, we want to compare ourselves to Lord & Taylor." Keisha, however, claimed that the strategy was failing, claiming that Loman's appeared more like a dump store. While Keisha was eager to point the finger at her company's lack of corporate structure, some of the guilt for this predicament would also have to fall on employees like herself who were given jobs in visual merchandising. Managing quality control on the company's racks is the task of making the clothing line attractive, or in Keisha's words, making things look pretty. In actuality, this entails switching lines and sizes to make sure Loman's can present its best feed to clients. Since taking over the 92-year-old business in 2011, Newman has made visual merchandising one of his favorite hobbies. At the $300 million a year company, revitalization has been no easy undertaking. When Newman took over, there was no viable e-commerce business, even though many rivals had already started such businesses. Newman wasn't going to take lightly such a discrediting of his virtual commerce and other tactics. Given how crucial he believed the virtual merchandising approach to be, he had already stated earlier in the program that it would be hard to keep my mouth shut if someone has a bad attitude.
I didn't even know the brands. I didn't know how many styles there were. And she was already telling me that I was doing it wrong within 30 seconds. I'm just trying to off the body.
Well, I have 3 boys, so.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm. How many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys.
That's August.
Oh, my.
So I miss days from work. So when you miss days from work, where's your check?
Work with.
No. We have them,
Who?
and it's a total of 5 for this whole store. So I have to pick and choose what I put on the mannequin. We want to look like we have a corporate structure. Frida Loman would probably be turning over in her grave if she saw the stuff that was going on now. And that's kind of
me crazy.
It's almost like a sinking ship as far as I'm concerned.
Her attitude is very negative.
Later in the performance, he decided to grant Keisha's request by revealing his true identity to her. He addressed Keisha, urging her to take responsibility for her actions and not shift blame onto others. As seen in the video, he told her "you own it," emphasizing the importance of accepting accountability. Newman, who observed the interaction, found Keisha's behavior towards Henry to be unsatisfactory. According to him, she failed to motivate her alleged pupil and instead resorted to shouting commands at him, instructing him on what to do without providing proper guidance or encouragement. At another point during the broadcast, Newman summed up Keisha's attitude by questioning "what about Keisha?" implying that she needed to reflect on her actions and approach towards teaching and motivating Henry. However, Henry's encounter with Keisha revealed new information to him. He's impressed with her work ethic and product expertise. Additionally, she's had to deal with lupus and kidney disease, which is particularly difficult for a single mother because she loses money every time she misses a shift.
Every place I work, I'd serve fries like they were filet mignon. You understand? That's just who I am.
A lot of good things. The fact that you come in when you're not feeling well, the fact that you show up, the fact that it's all great stuff. This opportunity, a successful one for everyone. We both committed?
Yes. Okay.
We also got to spend some time talking about personal things. You have some hardships, and I'd like to give you $10,000 to
There for you. This definitely renews my faith in people.
His open talk during her reveal is therefore followed by a promise to retain her and a plea that she renews her commitment to the position. Even more generously, Newman provided a gift of $10,000 to cover the medical costs. In response to the gift, Keisha sought an agreement. And that's all for this video, folks. See you next time. Bye for now.